Hello, everyone. My name is Jillian Deutsch, and I am Bloomberg's tech correspondent in Brussels. So usually I'm covering the world of tech regulation out of Brussels, but today I'm very excited to be hosting this conversation about the future of the internet with one of our favorite buzzwords in the tech universe, the Metaverse. Specifically, we'll be talking about the potential for the fashion industry in the Metaverse. I hear so much hype about what the Metaverse could bring for brands, for fashion houses. It could be a new mechanism for advertising, finding new audiences. We also could see a whole new way of trying on clothing. We also might all have digital closets when we open up our laptops in the future. But where there's lots of hope, there's also lots of hype and lots of skepticism of what this world will actually look like. I'm sure many of you have seen the videos and photos of Mark Zuckerberg's vision of the Metaverse. And there, Mark doesn't even have legs, let alone trousers, to purchase and wear. So I want to have this conversation about what the Metaverse is actually going to look like. And with that, we have some really great panelists here. I want to kind of start off, though, with a bit of a show and tell, because you can't talk fashion without showing a bit. So I want each of our panelists to kind of explain what their companies are doing in the Metaverse, what their vision of the Metaverse is, and we have a little clip from each of them to kind of give you guys a good image of what that would look like. Dr. Gigi, you want to start?
Of course. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? It's a pleasure to be here. So I work at Decentraland. More horizontal, the vision of the Metaverse, and I think that's how the future stands for. It's about community, it's about an opportunity to make an internet from people to people, above the tool, people.
Thank you so much. Adriana, do you want to talk about the Fabricant?
Yeah, good morning. I'm a co-founder of the Fabricant. The Fabricant is the first digital-only fashion house, launched in 2018 in Amsterdam. And we built, besides our own collections, a platform that allows anybody, a fashion brand, or an influencer, or a designer, to actually launch their own collections for the Metaverse direct to avatar.
Thank you so much. And Geoffrey, I think you even have specs with you, am I correct?
I do, yeah.
Excellent. When we have a video, can you explain what Snap's vision of the Metaverse is?
Yeah, of course. So Snap is a messaging app, as you probably know, but a messaging
embracing
app that
people of all races, all sizes, all age, all socioeconomic background. But when you have your phone and you can direct it to an outfit and see yourself reflected in that and be able to be whoever I want to be, and you can see yourself.
In the camera, we also have 3D filters. You know, every day we have 250 million people engaging with augmented reality on Snapchat. So this is where we play with fashion brands and we engage with them so that people can not only try beauty makeup on, but they can also try watches, sneakers, jewelry on, thanks to augmented reality filters that live in the camera.
Thank you. I am glad you guys all got some visuals. I want to start off with you, Adriana, because I know for many of us, our first introduction to the Metaverse was Mark Zuckerberg rebranding Facebook to the Metaverse. You've been in this world for much longer, though. Can you walk us through where was this industry in 2019 when you first began, and where are we at now?
Yeah, when we first began, nobody really understood it. So we would be in conference like this, and minimum people would think like, yeah, right. Sci-fi story, really interesting, but this is never going to happen. And I think COVID really accelerated the understanding of this meta-reality, which is the reality that we all live in already digitally, and how having our digital personas became super important because we're only interacting mostly digitally with each other, right? So we saw an enormous acceleration of not only the understanding of it, but also the entertainment industry, the gaming industry taking a lot of space during the COVID times where, again, we were meeting and entertaining ourselves primarily digitally. And that is when fashion brands actually woke up to this opportunity together with I would say also the more democratization of what we call NFTs, which are digital files that have ownership in blockchain. So when we talk Metaverse, I always say Metaverse is two sides for me. One is immersive experiences. It's 3D experiences, augmented reality experiences. It's a new media type. It doesn't replace photography, it doesn't replace videography, it doesn't replace text, but it's another way that we'll be able to express ourselves. And the other side of Metaverse is the blockchain, which then allows us to own virtual objects and transact those virtual objects among ourselves. And the combination of these two elements together are now what I would say very well understood in the fashion industry. There has been a huge boom in the last year of fashion brands dipping their toes into the space, creating collections, doing Metaverse fashion shows. And we have been in a very good position to help and facilitate that conversation and that introduction of the traditional world into the digital world. And ultimately, what we always say is, if you are in the fashion business, you know what it takes in terms of capital, supply chain, stock management. None of that happens in the digital world. So that is like the nice sound of, oh, there is money to be made, there is a business to be made, and it's highly profitable, great. The other side is that we are going digital. We are all establishing our digital presence, whether it's through AR filters like Snap, whether it's through Decentraland events. It is happening. So it's a new business model that certainly is extremely interesting for the fashion industry where it is. It is more sustainable, it is more democratic, it's more creative, and it's more profitable.
Giovanna, I want to talk to you because you have obviously worked with many big fashion houses. What are our brands' perspectives right now? They're kind of dipping their toes into this, but they're still a bit wary. Can you explain where brands are actually at with engaging in the metaverse? What are the mistakes that you see as well?
Right. I think based on our experience in the Decentraland and in the Metaverse Fashion Week, I think right now is a great moment for experimentation. I think brands can really try to expand their storytelling. I always like to say that the Metaverse is not a new thing. It's something we have been building. Look at Georges Méliès, what he used to do with the beginning of the cinema. So we're just trying to unlock creativity in many ways. And the Metaverse is the next generation of that. So brands, I think, are coming with very open mind, trying to figure out how they can bring their identity. And then I think when they talk to strategists and consultants, I think it's great that they try to find their path and not always follow a standard behavior. They not always have to do an NFT drop or be a DAO. I think brands are trying to comprehend. And also, I think they're giving themselves an opportunity to co-create. And I think that it's, for example, an example, the Fabricant, but also so many creators in the Decentraland community, how a big brand in the fashion industry can create a collection with the new generation of creators in the digital realm.
I also want to bring this to Snap, because Snap has quite an interesting perspective on engaging in the metaverse. I mean, obviously, many people here probably used Snapchat, or maybe your kids have used Snapchat. You see these Bitmojis, right? I find it quite interesting you guys are not trying to sell like Levi's digital-only clothing for your Bitmoji. What is Snap's involvement in the metaverse, and why are you not doing that?
Well, if we start first with the biggest portion, which is augmented reality, we truly believe that the next computing platform, and we've heard Jose Neves talking about Web 0 when he started computing, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, that version is going to be about experiences. And we strongly believe that human needs to be at the center of these, and that's why we are so engaged into augmented reality, which is a digital layer on top of the world that's existing around you. We want to add that layer for people to feel it and to see it. Today, you do it with Snapchat, and you open up the application and you add a filter onto your feet, onto your hand, or whatever. But tomorrow, the way we see it progressing is that connected devices are going to be everywhere, and digital is going to be so fast with the 5G coming up, etc., that we will be able to fuel these connected devices. And you talked about the specs, which are
Should show them off, yeah.
Should I? So these are the Snapchat sunglasses, like glasses, I would say, that have computing overlaid on top of the world around you. This is how we see engaging with the real world around us with that digital layer that I was mentioning.
It's quite a fashion statement, wearing those around.
It does. So that's what we're doing with augmented reality and with fashion brands, trying to create together for the human word has been named a couple of times also today, and that's what we center around, the reality of humans, adding that layer of computing. So to answer on Bitmoji, because that was also one of the questions, it's clearly one of the biggest avatar in the world, and we're very cautious into the way we market it. So that's why we're doing a few collaborations with brands, but we're not selling outfits there. Not yet. I'm not saying never, but
never. But do you think that this push for digital-only clothing is overhyped? Is that why you're so cautious about pushing that kind of thing?
Not saying it's overhyped, but we are really engaged with the real world. So there's definitely a digital world. Our lives are becoming much more digital in a sense, and we've been working a lot with the Fabricant and experiencing with Dr. Gigi. And so there's definitely not just a trend and not just a hype. That's a subject, but we're engaging with augmented reality right now.
Now, I do want to ask for all you two who participate right now, I have a very unscientific poll that I want to gauge with the audience. Raise your hand if you've purchased an item of clothing on the internet. I think most of us probably have. Okay, now keep your hand raised if you have ever purchased digital-only clothing, so skin for an avatar. Got some hands. Okay, good. I'm curious though, so I don't know, Adriana and Dr. Gigi, which one of you wants to be in the hot seat, but you've got quite an audience of untapped audience of people who could buy these digital-only clothing. Why should they go and buy some skins and buy some of the clothes that we saw?
First, I think because we are changing culture, right? So I think we are dealing with a cultural transformation. We're not just here from the business point of view. That is, of course, a big part of it, but we're changing the way we see ourselves. So first of all, if you want to build a different identity, complete your identity in a different way, expand your body existence. And because I do feel that in the future, our physical clothes will be triggered and expanded by animated elements and another layer. That will be just a normal thing 10 years from now. We already saw the product that is going to trigger that.
I can have a go. So if today you go and buy a bag of $400 of a brand, so let's say Gucci, a brand that I like, you got an identity you associate to that brand, and you got a bag. That's all you got. If you try to trade this bag, you're probably going to have $200 because it's secondhand. It's a pain. If you ever try to sell secondhand clothes, it's not that easy. And that is it. So your relationship with the brand is very transactional. Once that brand is digital, it can augment your identity digitally because you are a digital avatar and you're living a digital life. You paid $400. It is a limited edition, and you're probably going to sell it for $4,000. Yeah. Besides that, having the ownership of that bag means that you're part of a club of Gucci. You're going to have access to things that other people don't have, because this bag is also your kind of VIP connection with Gucci in the virtual world. Everything that I said right now is already happening. Yeah. The only thing that is not happening is that the 3D environments that exist, like Decentraland, are not yet at full scale that we all feeling confident and comfortable to go there and play around, right? It's one of those things in 1 year from now, it's going to be gone. It's the pains of early technology. Mm-hmm. We're not using them to its full potential quite yet, but it's a very short period of time before it takes off. The other one that I think is close to everybody's heart, and certainly for everyday use, who is in daily video calls? Some people are in RAO, that's great. I'm every day in video calls. Now in video calls, I'm every day, I'm wearing my pajama pants and maybe a nice top. I don't need to put my makeup on because Snap Filter has a makeup filter that I can put on. And actually, I can put my jewelry from the Fabricant on the calls as well and make quite a statement. I can change it for every call without leaving my chair, right? I can actually change my identity without leaving my chair, and depending on the call, I might do a different accessory, a different makeup, or a different top. That's already happening. So the Snap functionality that we use, you actually can have the Fabricant accessories to wear on your calls. which is a world that we are all living already. So I think that is why digital fashion is more interesting than physical one.
That's very interesting. Of course, we want to talk about the economy. It would not be a Bloomberg summit if we don't talk about the economy. We've seen headlines about Nike selling an NFT for over $100,000. This is obviously very intriguing for brands. But in our daily lives, the question on all of our minds is, are we heading for a recession? We already heard it, we're already in a recession, right? People have to obviously buy physical clothing. We obviously all need to get dressed to come here. Why should people spend $400 also on virtual clothing? Do you think they really will, especially as everyone's looking at their budgets and saying, okay, I need to cut something. Is this really necessary? You're nodding your head, Adriana, if you want to say that.
No, that's good, because I'm a bit controversial when it comes to NFTs, because I think we have lived the normal excitement of new technology bubble. And if anything, I think the times that are now are normalizing times, and I really welcome that, because it means that now we start building products that really have validity, and we get out of this kind of initial excitement, right? So I do believe that the price that we have seen in 2020, 2021, 2019, I hope, and I do also believe are not going to be reached that easily anymore, that you need to be giving a lot of value to justify the $100,000 for an NFT for a picture. It's normalizing times, and it's great, which means that people that build and are building products and are building solutions are the ones that are going to stay and going to win.
Giovanna, I wanted to ask you, though, I mean, given the current economic situation, how has that affected Decentraland?
I think that Decentraland actually is composed by so many users and creators. So, of course, that if there is a recession, the studios that work with brands, they may feel it. But right now, I think majority of the studios are really working in full steam. We have many events in the virtual world. And I think it's interesting for us to analyze that sometimes during recession, you try to find other ways to gather people. And virtually, a lot of costs are lower, right? So sometimes, rather than you doing an on-site event, you would do a virtual event. And so that economy particularly get benefited. So I think for us, of course, the hype of Metaverse that happened in February, now also the NFT crash, I think it brings a little bit down to the place where whoever is in those Metaverses is a real consumer that believe on that idea and people that really want to build that together. So we are seeing that fluctuation and understanding who is going to really stay to build something powerful.
Geoffrey, I want to ask you about the reality of using augmented reality to try clothes on. I mean, I remember growing up, going to the mall, try on shoes, my mom making me walk around the mall multiple times to make sure the shoes actually fit, checking to see if there's room in the back of the heel, right? So, I mean, you can try stuff on virtually, but obviously the feel, the fit, you can't see that, right? You need to actually try that on. So are there too many limitations to using augmented reality for the metaverse, or how will it actually be useful to people?
Well, actually, there are, of course. If you look at different fabrics, they don't move the same way, they don't weigh the same weight, they don't look the same with the lights, etc. So there are definitely limitations, but we have been improving so much in the past, let's say, 2 to 3 years. We have new technologies such as the ray tracing technology that's often used in gaming and virtual spaces to show the lights and the reflections. And if you look at what we've released, I don't know if that was on the screen, but we've released that Tiffany bird on a rock with before and after we use that ray tracing technology. And the one using the ray tracing technology is just duplicating the exact product that you have in real life. And if Tiffany's has said yes for Snap to work on that iconic piece, I think it's at some point it is really a statement saying, okay, the technology is here for diamonds. It's not there, let's say, for apparel. Apparel is very tricky because if you want to wear something on, you're not the same size, you're not the same weight, so apparel can get very tricky, and the fabric and the movement, etc. But we have acquired a few companies that are helping us solve that and increase accuracy within the fitting and the sizing of things. You probably have heard of them. It's Fit Analytics, which is a sizing tool that lots of retailer websites use. You want to go there and you don't know what size you are, and so you're going to pick your weight, your your height, etc. And then they're going to tell you you're small in that specific product. So we're trying to bridge the gap between these frictions that you might find online and bring these new technologies onto our service to increase accuracy. So fitting, sizing, rendering sometimes is a challenge, but if you look at what we've accomplished in the past 2 to 3 years, I think it's pretty impressive. And we've been working with, all of these luxury brands, Dior, someone was mentioning Cartier earlier, Prada, Louis Vuitton. They are at the zeitgeist. They have the exquisite sense of craft, and that's what we're trying to replicate on the platform. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I also am coming from the Brussels regulatory world, where often people talk about the negative implications of social media. So I obviously am looking at the metaverse, and I've reported previously on possible harms in the metaverse, of course. And one of the things that when we're looking at fashion, I know, Giovanna, we've talked in the past about, one of the looks for people in the metaverse is it's quite crazy neon colors, but also you see, lip fillers, cheek fillers, trying to make their avatars look almost like brat dolls. And I remember growing up, and brat dolls were criticized, right, for promoting negative body images for young girls. Where do you see your products fitting into the metaverse, making sure they don't harm, especially young girls?
Yeah, I do feel that that's why it's so important that we set up the Web3 based on communities, because I think the communities, they're people, we are all part of that. And the example we have in Decentraland, yes, we do have some Bratz doll faces, but we also have completely non-human characters. You can actually create your identity without any specific beauty standards. There is no beauty standard in the metaverse that you say, oh, this is the way you should look like. So we have this image from Dolce & Gabbana catwalk in which the models were cats. And I think this is an interesting statement, but you also can see that coming from the individuals, which are regular people creating in our community, that you can be whatever you want to be, and it can be a different you, or it could be you as you are in the physical world, but with additional features. So I think it's really a space for freedom of expression. But we have to be together and stay together in understanding how we don't harm the new generations. And I think people are very aware of that. That debate is very important in this space.
I want to bring it, we have a couple of Q&A questions from the audience. One is from Karen K. How will you make the metaverse and the fashion inclusive to working and lower class individuals who don't necessarily have the hundreds of pounds to spend in a digital world? Adriana, do you want to kick us off with that?
I love this question because it's actually one of the reasons I'm in this space. Is when we're creating this Web3, it means that, again, ownership means true ownership, and we have the opportunity to actually leapfrog the economical system that exists right now, whereby anybody, anywhere in the world can become a fashion creator, sell their collections, make profit out of it, buy new collections, resell it, right? So the fluidity and the liquidity of the trade is going to be much bigger than what we have right now. And truly, the only thing you need to launch your label in the metaverse is a computer. Not every economy, not every circumstance, not everybody has a computer in their house, but there is a vast majority that there is, right? And soon probably we can even code it on our own mobile phone, and then you reach out to even bigger amount of population. But I think, again, to me, Web3...
No, Mike's gone.
The Web3 promise is of a decentralized economy. It is of being able to be more equitable, being able to distribute wealth in new ways, and I'm a strong believer of that. That's what I'm doing it for.
We're running out of time, but I do love this question that just popped up about what regulation is necessary to make sure the metaverse platforms don't absolve their responsibility. I know the European Commission this month has already said that they're going to look into the metaverse, not necessarily proposed regulation, but you already have the European Commission's eyes on you. Geoffrey, do you have any comments on regulation you would actually like to see?
I think regulation doesn't provide companies to have good values. Regulation always comes after, because it takes lots of time to get rules around something that people don't really understand at some point. So I think it's about focusing on the values of, human values that try to replicate them into the world that's coming next. So you don't have to abuse of the system. Now, we know what's been the major issues that the Web 2 has caused and the limitations. So we need to be very thoughtful in how we go to the next version of the web with core human values.
Absolutely, and we're out of time, but I do have one quick more ask from the audience. We do have a poll question for you guys, if you use your QR codes to check. What the poll is, which industries will benefit the most from the metaverse? We have gaming, fashion brands, financial services, or dating companies. And there are obviously so many more that we hear about. Education as well. Gaming seems to be the biggest one. Fashion number 2. Big gaming fans. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. This is just the start of many, many conversations I'm sure we'll have about the metaverse. So thank you so much.